And we're go.
Good evening and welcome to the regularly scheduled City Council meeting via virtual Zoom meeting for the Michigan Executive Order 2020-15 of Tuesday, April 28, 2020. Madam Clerk, can I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Beagle?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Here.
Councilmember Behrman?
Here.
Councilmember Gotchel?
Here.
Councilmember Grenlund Fox?
Here.
Councilmember Sharp?
Here.
Councilmember Smiley?
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. Can we all recite the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for all.
for all.
Thank you. Right. First up, do we have any changes or additions to the agenda as presented tonight? City Manager?
I do not.
Council?
No.
All right, very good. Next order of business is the approval of minutes. It's the regular City Council meeting scheduled of April 14th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support? Any questions, comments, additions, deletions?
No.
All right, I've got a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the regular scheduled City Council meeting of April 14th, 2020. Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Behrman?
Yes.
Councilmember Gotchel?
Yes.
Councilmember Grenlund Fox?
Yes.
Councilmember Sharp?
Aye.
Councilmember Smiley?
Aye.
Mayor Beagle?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you. We have one item of correspondence tonight, and it's the notice of hearing for the electric customers of BTE Electric Company, case number U-20222. Next up is the first call to the public. I'm going to read public speaking for the call to the public. The public shall address the council during the call to the public, which shall be included on the agenda immediately after correspondence and again immediately after new business. The first call to the public immediately after correspondence shall be limited to agenda items only. A person shall not address the council in excess of 5 minutes unless time is extended by a majority vote of council present. Persons wish to address the council shall identify themselves and their place of residence and shall state their reasoning for the addressing the council. And all comments by public shall be made directly to the council. And since this is a Zoom meeting, the city will be utilizing the video audio conference platform Zoom. Members of the public body will be able to hear and speak to each other during the meeting. And there is when public comment is permitted, members of the public will be called one at a time, as it would happen during an in-person meeting. The mayor will determine the order of public speakers. If you want to speak, you must use the raise hand feature in order for the mayor to know you need to be unmuted. When you are unmuted, you will have 5 minutes to share your comments with the public body. At the conclusion of your comments or your time, you will then be muted and removed from the queue. Do we have anybody for the first call to the public? I can't see, I can't tell, but it doesn't look like it, so we'll move on. City managers report, we have the departmental reports of March 2020. Any questions? Councilmember Gotchel.
So thank you. With the water wastewater report, I notice in the fats, oils, and greases section, it says that we have not sent out any notices of exceedances due to the stay-home order. I was wondering, is there no other, I mean, we can't mail letters, make phone calls, there's no other way for us to let businesses know that they're putting too much of the fog material into our system?
This is there are twofold thing there. We're not sampling at this time just because there's really no discharges for the most part. There are some takeout services, but as a general rule, the restaurants are primarily closed. So there's really less impact right now for fats, oil, and grease. So we're utilizing our sampling in other areas right now. So we haven't sampled this, to my knowledge, the last month or so. So there's we wouldn't be issuing any violation notices because of that.
This for March, this report was for March, and it had Arby's, Stingers. I mean, all of these would have been February.
Oh, sampling. Yes, you're
limits.
right.
Yeah, so there are
okay.
3,
Yep.
6,
We will.
almost 9 or 10 on this list.
I'll follow up on that. I missed.
Thank you.
Yes. Yep.
It looks like Ruben is trying to talk and he's
Oh.
on as an attendee.
Ken or Steve, can you ask?
Yep, I'll allow
Thank
him
you.
to talk. Yep. Ruben, you're up.
All right. Good afternoon. It's Ruben John, Project Manager, F&V Operations, Wastewater Treatment Plant. Councilman Gottschall, one of the reasons we have found is it is better we're able to hand the notice in person. We prefer to actually directly address the manager of the business. And we've found if we were to just mail it, sometimes the letters get conveniently misplaced. They didn't receive it. If we were able to actually place the letter in the hands of the business operator, we're able to get better results. So it's one of the reasons we got the results back a little late in March. And by the time we could have decided to go out and individually meet the violators, it was COVID-19 was in full swing. So,
Okay. Do we have plans to then follow up with these businesses once?
absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
I had the exact same question. It got answered. Thank you.
Councilmember Sharp?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is for City Manager Brown's report on the dates. June 25th still showing as Light the Night fireworks. I know Detroit's, I think, canceled or postponed theirs. Are we still holding to June 25th as of now?
As of now, yes, but we are actively discussing whether it makes sense just to cancel that event at this point in time. So it's something we're discussing, but we haven't made the move yet.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Councilmember Gremlin Fox?
Thank you, Mayor. I also had a question regarding the fats, oil, and grease program. Ruben answered quite a few of those questions I had. However, my remaining question is, if those businesses do not come into compliance, how long do we give them to come into compliance? And then if they don't, within that time frame, what are the repercussions for those businesses?
Councilman Gerlin Fox. So typically we give them about a month, and we ask them to get it treated. We ask them to get their fats pit cleaned out and to produce paperwork showing that it's been done. And if they fail to have it done within a month, we do the services. We have our Metro Environmental go get the pit cleaned out, and then we bill them for those services. And then if they keep violating, then I might defer to Mr. Sigma as to further enforcement.
Yes, at that point, we continue to sample, and if still in non-compliance, we end up cleaning and televising the sewer lines coming from the facilities, and all of those expenses do go back to the restaurant. They typically come into compliance quickly after the letters. The trouble is continuous compliance after the fact, but yeah, at that point they come through pretty quick.
Tim, do we ever issue fines?
We have not on fats, oil, and grease in the past, just because we continue to monitor it. We do have the ability to issue fines. We just have not, for the most part.
Okay. I know how hard all that, those substances are on our system.
Yep.
So I would be in favor of looking at something that would maybe help them get into compliance and stay in compliance.
The civil penalties start at $500, and it is per day per violation. However, the cleaning and televising on a more frequent basis can multiply that fine even more so. So after that reimbursement, it serves as a fine at that point.
Okay.
That makes
And
sense.
my other question, thank you, Tim. My other question
Mhm.
is actually also for Tim. I understand that a lot of communities have been having trouble with their residents and perhaps business owners disposing of rubber gloves down the toilets. Have we had any issues with that or any problems?
We haven't had any major issues with that. It's always been a continuous problem for collection systems. Just because they say it's flushable doesn't mean that it is dispersible in the wastewater system. I always say that my cell phone is flushable, but I don't think it goes through the pumps very well. And that's the example I usually give.
So no higher than normal issues?
Nope. One thing, and Ruben, you can chime in, but the one major thing throughout this, with the industries mostly closed, our flows have gone down significantly. And we have recognized that we have a large amount of industrial flows on a typical basis.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Any other questions for the city manager's reports? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. We have no items under our consent agenda and no items under unfinished business, so we'll go directly to new business. And one item under new business is the recommendation to adopt the West Nile virus reimbursement resolution designating DPW Director Tim Sickma as our agent for the city of Wixom to seek reimbursement for eligible expenses occurred underneath Oakland County West Nile Virus Fund Program. Do you have a motion?
Move.
Support?
Support.
Very good. Any questions? Councilmember Garland Fox?
Thank you, Mayor. Tim, I know that the motion talks about stormwater storm sewer and catch basins. Are there other areas where the material is dispersed?
We typically do it, put these pods or they're larvicides that we put them in anywhere that there's small basins that can collect water. It's the ability to kill the larva before it turns into a mosquito. So we typically just do that in our catch basins. We have done them in small ponds in the past, and they will cover a small area of those. So if there are areas that have significant mosquito populations, we can go over and drop a few of those in there. But it's primarily for stagnant water in catch basins and that kind of thing.
Okay.
We do have a small portion that of mosquito repellents that we give out, and it's usually at the Light the Nights and the fireworks. This year we are planning to get those out to residents. I'm not quite sure how we're going to do that if we don't have the fireworks, but we'll have something in the fall that we can utilize those giveaways for.
That was my other question is how do residents request the repellent, and then how would we get it to them? So thank you.
And we do have limited supplies, but we try and get out as many of them as we can to our residents. So yeah, they can call us at DPW for them.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
You bet.
You're welcome. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, I've got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to adopt the West Nile virus reimbursement resolution designating DPW Director Tim Sickma as the agent for the city of Wixom to seek reimbursement of eligible expenses occurred underneath the Oakland County West Nile Virus Fund Program. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Getchell,
Yes.
Councilmember Grenlund Fox,
Yes.
Councilmember Sharp,
Aye.
Councilmember Smiley,
Aye.
Mayor Beagle,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Resnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Behrman,
Aye.
7 ayes.
Thank you. Next up is our second call to the public. Rules for the calls to the public will be same as the first call to the public, but you can speak about whatever is on your mind. It does not have to be an agenda item. Do we have any public that wishes to speak tonight? I can't tell, so I don't know if Ken wants to do or Steve, but
We
Yeah.
have nobody with their hand raised right now, Mayor.
all right. Then I'm going to close the second call to the public and go to city manager's comments.
Yeah, missed you for a moment. Are you on to my report?
Your city manager's comments.
Yeah. So the city manager update is pretty limited with the work diversities that were provided for the employees that were affected, anywhere from 2 years to 8 years for that. So congratulations to the 3 employees celebrating their anniversaries. And the other thing that I was going to mention, I don't know, Mayor, if you had planned on discussing anything about the Gleaners food distribution event that's coming up on this Thursday, or would you like me to cover that?
You can cover it if you'd like.
All right, so we have a real opportunity here that came to be in the last week when we were contacted in my office, and Cheryl Lucas worked very closely with Gleaners Food Bank about their interest in doing a food distribution event in the city of Wixom. And we've got that worked out and scheduled for the first event to happen this Thursday, the 30th. It's going to take place in our parking lot at the municipal complex between City Hall and the community center. In the back of the parking lot, we're going to bring in a semi-truck full of foodstuffs to provide at no charge to residents of Wixom and the area beyond. Their focus is on providing these food items to people that have children in their families, because they're recognizing that people are having a hard time in this current pandemic with people not being able to work as they usually do. So that is happening this Thursday, the 30th, from 2:30 to 5:30 p.m. At the City Hall complex area there in the back of the parking lot between City Hall and a community center. And Gleaners is not asking for any assistance from the city in terms of providing foodstuffs, collecting foodstuffs from people that want to drop off those items. That's not the focus of this event. It's strictly to provide needed foodstuffs to people that are in need at this point in time. So they're going to be doing that. They're going to need a point of contact, which is going to be Cheryl Lucas out of my office, and then they're going to need a dumpster to take care of what is left over after the food is distributed, and then also refrigeration to store the remaining items, because they plan on doing this for multiple events between now and the end of June. It's every 2 weeks between now and the end of June is what's scheduled currently tentatively for these food distribution events. So I wanted to make sure that we mentioned that and that members of council and people in the community make sure that they, if they're in need of that kind of assistance, come forward and attend on the 30th. It's intended to be done by vehicle for the most part. So people can drive up into our parking lot, pull up, and they will place a box full of food, which is a 20 to 30 pound box full of food. So there's could be a lot of food provided to each recipient. So that's going to be provided and placed in your trunk. You won't need to have any interactions. The social distancing will be able to be maintained. And then they do have a mechanism for people to come up and walk up and participate if they can't do so with a vehicle. And again, they just ask that people provide the 6-foot social distancing while they're doing that. And then secondly, they have to have some means of being able to transport that 20 to 30 pounds of food for themselves to wherever they need to take it. So just very excited the Gleaners recognize the need in our community, and it's going to be a great event that's coming up for the first time on Thursday, April 30th, and then we'll have multiple events after that every 2 weeks as well.
And city manager, they're expecting, they're bringing enough food for 300 families, correct?
That's what they're hoping to have, as many as 200 to 300 families participate, correct?
So we're going to be helping out a lot of families in this area with that. That's an awesome event.
Yeah, it's a real opportunity, and we're very appreciative of Gleaners for selecting Wixom to help with that.
Anything else?
No, sir, that's all I have today.
All right, I'll move on to city manager comment, or city council comments. Councilmember Berman.
I don't have anything to add. Just everybody stay safe, and looks like we're on the upswing. So keep our fingers crossed that things can start opening back up and people can get back to work.
Very good, thank you. Councilmember Cacho.
Thank you. I also want to share my thanks to Gleaners Community Food Bank for contacting the city and wanting to put on these events over the next few weeks. It's going to be a tremendous help. Unfortunately, I think it's something that the state and federal government has been overlooking, and now we have to rely on nonprofits to fill the void since people can't put food on their tables. I know typically as a city we do a Friday e-blast going out to our email list. I was wondering maybe if we could do one tomorrow with this information, because I don't think it was included in last week's citywide email. So however we can get it out ahead of time, I think would be helpful. But just a big thank you to them. And likewise, once things kind of get back to normal, I think any recognition we can give them would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Grenlund Fox.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I would just like to ask City Manager Brown, do you need, or does Gleaners need any volunteers to help that day?
No, that's something they specifically mentioned, that they were not looking to have any volunteer participation. I think they're concerned about the with the pandemic situation and the social distancing being maintained, and they have adequate staff to handle that. So they told us they were not in need of volunteers.
Okay, thank you. And then I would just like to wish all those Wixom employees that are celebrating their anniversaries, congratulations to them, and tell everyone to stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Sharp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing for council this week.
Very good. Councilmember Smiley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One more follow-up question on the Gleaners, Mr. Brown. I know they don't want any volunteers. I'm just wondering, should anybody from the city, will Cheryl be there? Just someone or one of us pop in just as a thank you. I don't want to, have us gumming up the works or breaking any rules, but I just, want to make sure they know how much we appreciate this.
Yeah, certainly. Cheryl's going to be the city rep on site for that event, and she's been very clear in expressing our appreciation on that, and we'll continue to make sure that they know how much we appreciate the gesture they're doing for our community, for something that is really very well needed at this point in time. We're very grateful for it, and we will make sure to communicate that to them very clearly.
Great. Okay. Other than that, just thank you to all. Everyone stay safe. And Mother's Day comes before our next meeting. So happy Mother's Day, Mom. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also want to thank Gleaners. That's a great way to support these families in need. And there's a lot of them, and a lot of the other charities that have typically been serving our local families, such as St. Vincent de Paul and Hospitality House, are hurting right now. So that's great for Gleaners to come out and do this. Also want to give a shout out to Laura Cloutier. I was talking to a small Wixom downtown business owner, and they said that Laura had stopped by and helped them with paperwork for some of the grants and all, and they were very, very grateful, and that's good. It's good to see these small businesses still doing their curbsides and takeouts and whatnot. So please get out there and continue to support them. Also, I want all of us to, there's a family in Wixom, or one family within their immediate family, 3 family members were affected directly by COVID-19, and 7 in-laws, for a total of 10 family members. And this ran in the news a couple of weeks ago. But I know the father of that person, and said still pray for the father-in-law. He's 78 years old and he's still not out of the woods yet. So please keep that family in their thoughts and prayers. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I just got a few here. I'd like to congratulate the 3 city employees with their work anniversaries today. Thank them for their support and time with the city. Thanks to Gleaners for supporting our community and helping out these families in need. And thanks to Steve and Cheryl for getting this work done. And I got a quick question for Tim Sigma. Tim, do you know when Waste Management's going to start their large item pickup?
I had texted them today, and they were going to let me know on Friday. So it's not going to be this week yet. I'm hoping next week, but that's they haven't given us final word on that yet. But we're shooting for next week.
All right, cool. Because I see that a lot of families with the stay-at-home shelter, they're doing a lot of spring cleaning and cleanup around their house, and I see a lot of large objects out there. So I just want to make sure that gets taken care of, because usually that stuff, if they don't pick it up on Wednesday, it stays out all week.
It is, yes.
All right, and with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Support? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, very good. Have a good night, guys. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Good night.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good night.
Thank you.